This video is meant to help you get started on practice set 2. So if I'm looking at practice set 2, I'm looking at situation 1. First thing that I want to do is create an interaction diagram. So my first object that I'm going to label as interacting will be Earth. The next object I'm going to label as just object A, object B, and then whatever kind of surface these objects are interacting on, which it doesn't specifically say in the problem, but it just says on a rough surface. I'm going to draw arrows for the Earth interacting with all of these objects. I'm also going to have an interaction between object A and B, and between B and the surface. And that's the limit of my interaction diagram this time. My next task is to create a force diagram, and this is where we really have to think about all the forces acting on just object A. So you can see that object A right here is interacting with the Earth, and it's also interacting with object B. I'm going to draw just a one box arrow down for the force of gravity, and on yours you're going to draw on object A by Earth. I'm going to have an arrow that's one up with a normal force because object A is touching object B. So I'm going to have a normal force on object A by object B. And that's all the forces that I have right now on object A. Now let's think about object B. Object B has more interactions, and I can see that from my interaction diagram. So having more interactions means it's going to have more forces. So let's think about this. I'm going to have a normal force from the surface to object B. I'm also going to have a normal force from object A onto object B, and then I have a gravitational force on B by Earth. So let's start labeling those. I'm going to choose to draw my gravity 3 boxes down. And the quantity of boxes that I'm selecting is going to make more sense in just a little while. So I'm going to call that F of G. I'm going to draw a normal force, 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes up. And again, you're labeling your on by statements, but my normal force is going to be on object B by the surface or by the table, whatever it happens to be. Again, I still have object B interacting with object A. Object A is above object B, so object B is going to experience a downward normal force, again on B, by A. All right, next up I'm ready to start thinking about if my forces acting on each object are balanced, unbalanced, or none. Because of these objects are both at rest, they're remaining stationary, that right there tells me that my forces are balanced. Sorry about my sloppy writing with this. All right, so I'm going to underline balanced erase that. I am going to, in the X direction, write none because there are no forces going left and right on this object. In the vertical direction, now is where I'm going to underline balanced because the F net is equal to Fg plus Fn. And if I look at those boxes, I've got one box up and one box down, so I'd show my work there. One box up plus one box down would be a net force of 0. All right, let's take a look at object B. Horizontally, so left and right, again, I have no forces. Vertically, up, down, object B is still stationary. It's still at rest, so that means I'm going to have balanced forces. And this is why I selected the number of boxes that I did in my force diagram. So I'm going to have Fn plus my other Fn plus Fg. And if I've got positive 4 boxes plus negative 1 box plus negative 3 boxes, that gives me a net force of 0. The last thing that I want to point out is this Newton's third law force pair. When I'm looking at my diagrams, I'm looking for the same type of force on different objects, equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. I can see right here I've got a normal force downward on B by A. Here I've got an upward normal force on A by B. So I would write about those in my Newton's third law force pair statement. So F of n of the first one, and I want to include my on by statements. I'm not doing that because I've got this sloppy pen that I'm using. But I would say that the normal force on A by B is equal and opposite to the normal force on B by A. Hopefully this video helps you get started on practice set 2. Good luck.